Well, there's one issue that unites the left and the right. It's money. Liberals protest income inequality, and conservatives worry about billionaires and big government crushing the rights of the average Americans who are working harder and yet making less. But why is it that the super rich are getting richer and the rest of us fall behind? That question is addressed in the new documentary called The Paradigm of Money. Watch.
We are as close to a middle income revolution as we've ever been.
Every unconsidered cost comes at a direct consequence.
The ownership concentration keeps getting higher amongst that very few people at the very, very top. We have a name for it, and we call it feudalism.
They are the dealers. They create the drugs.
Wall Street executives privatize all the gains and then socialize the losses.
Tens of trillions of dollars are being extracted from the United States of America.
And that's why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Please welcome the director and co-producer of The Paradigm of Money, Peter Antico. Peter, great to have you here. This film really does kind of put in perspective that the game is rigged.
Since 1913, the Federal Reserve Act, which there's a great book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, which I recommend that people read, because a lot of the Congress was out on Christmas break when they enacted it. But since 1913, the Federal Reserve was supposed to mandate stable currencies and stable interest rates. But since 1913 to 2021, the United States dollar has been depreciated 98%, and interest rates have been in between 1 and 21%. So at the job they've been doing, they really have failed miserably. Ron Paul has spoken about this, wanting to audit them many, many times because there's a gross lack of transparency in regard to that organization.
Well, when we think of capitalism, we think, okay, that's a good thing. Capitalism means that people can work and they can keep what they've worked for. But what you're saying in the film is that there's really been a gaming of capitalism, and it's not been a pure form. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's take the GameStop or the meme stops that you've all heard about, the naked short selling. And what happens is that you can only short a company by owning some of the shares. You have to borrow shares. If you can't borrow the shares, that's illegal. It's called naked shorting, and it's counterfeiting shares. So what happened with GameStop is that they have a market maker called Citadel. The market maker actually executes the buys and sells. And then the company like Robinhood or Fidelity or Schwab, those kinds of companies are the brokers, and people go on their sites and they execute these companies by pushing the buttons on their computer or calling their broker. But what happened in the field of GameStop is when they would try to execute buys or to sells, there's something called order flow. And order flow is where market makers pay for. So if Citadel is a market maker, they paid Robinhood about $140 million to run and to take all the orders from GameStop. So if they know the buys, the sells, the volume on a second basis, and the derivatives, which are the options, the shorts and the longs, they can front run the market with using their own money and make hundreds of millions of dollars. It's legalized, paid for insider information.
We have gone deep into the water on that one, Peter. I'm trying to figure out and sort it all out.
Yeah.
Bottom line, because some of that was like, whoa. Why is it that some people at the top just keep getting richer and richer, and then people in the middle seem to get nowhere?
I think one of the biggest reasons has been the monetary policy. With these extra ultra-low interest rates, it acts like inflation acts as theft. In other words, if you're living on a fixed income and the purchasing power of the U.S. dollar goes down, and last year it was down about 11%. So if you had $1,000 in the bank, you only had $890 worth of purchasing power if you left it in there for a year. So if someone has $100,000 in the bank and they're just leaving in a banking institution, they're getting their money stolen by way of inflation. So these ultra-low monetary policies, they create asset inflation because you say the price of your house goes up. Really, the purchasing power of the dollars that we use go down. And the more the Federal Reserve keeps printing money with these bailouts, because they increased the money supply in the last 16 months about 35%. And it's like if you had Rolex watches, for simple, if you flooded the market with Rolexes, then they wouldn't hold their price. The more money that you put in the supply in Austrian economics, the more you devalue currency. So if we're using money that's devalued and our wages don't go up to match that inflation, then the price or the cost of living for people go up and the quality of life goes down. So, if you want to create sound money, they used to have it when we had a gold-backed system in '71, but Nixon took us off then. And since then, it's been competitive currency devaluation, and all currencies in the world have been devalued by printing money so they could have an export or a GDP to other countries.
I think what I'm going to have to do is watch the film to get the full impact. But it's going to be a fascinating opportunity that I hope our audience will take advantage of. The Paradigm of Money, the film, because you'll be able to see what Peter's been talking about tonight in clear, simple, understandable ways, that there is a game and it's rigged. And it's why a lot of Americans are getting shut out of the opportunities. To find out more about how you can see the film, visit Huckabee.tv. You'll find a link not only to learn more about the new documentary, The Paradigm of Money, but you can see the trailer. More importantly, you can stream the entire film, and that's what we hope you do.